And hello, everybody. We are here for the inaugural season of the Into the Wild League. I am Rod, and with me is Keith. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, Rod. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone is all hyped and excited about watching some wonderful wild action.
I'm
I
very,
know I am.
I'm very excited, and we had some friends list being filled, and it was a little bit longer than it should have been, but we are here. So sorry for the minor delay, guys. Um, so we are on day 2 of games. We had 2 really awesome matches last night, so it's going to be great to see this continue on tonight. Are you excited? I know I am.
Oh, definitely, definitely. No, first off, tonight we actually have 2 matches back to back tonight. First off, we have Craig of Canada that's going to be facing off against Dr. Evil. That's our current match coming up right now. Immediately after that, we have Get Meowth versus Chai. So some doubleheader action there.
Nice, yeah. This is gonna be really, really good. So I'm excited, and we already delayed enough. So you want to send them messages and tell them they could get started. Let's link over the rules real quick. So these rules are very similar to what we had in another league. Nate and I are associated with the Into the Wild League. You're going to have to use all 9 classes over a 3-week period. You're gonna pick 3 classes each week. There's no bans, nothing else. So they get to pick their order, their classes, queue, everything like that. The next week, they can't use those 3 classes until they use all 9 classes. And so they get to pick from the 6 remaining classes. And last week, they'll have their 3 classes already determined for them. After you win with the class, you're out. That class is out. And so you have to move on to winning with your final 2 classes. There are going to be some special rules later on in the season. But right now, we're just 3 wild decks with each other. So, we're ready to start, and they're getting started as we speak, I think, right?
It sounds good. Just
Okay.
waiting on the matches to start there. So it looks like first off, we've got Craig queuing up with Druid, Shaman,
Okay.
and Warlock versus Taylor queuing up with Druid, Hunter, and Shaman. Now we are currently waiting on info from Dr. Evil there, but I know that Craig is queuing up with some very interesting lists. First off, from Craig, he has a deck he affectionately refers to as Big Druid, but it's not a Druid deck; it's a Shaman deck.
It is indeed.
Yeah, we're talking old school Ancestors Call style Shaman, playing Barnes into some big hitters there like Kel'Thuzad, Sylvanas, Ragnaros, Sneed's Old Shredder, Lich King. The biggest possible minions you could shove into a deck. He's got shoved into this one. He's got the double threat of Ancestor's Call, 4-mana Shaman spell that has both players play a minion from their hand, paired up with a new card from Boomstay, Eureka, 6-mana Shaman spell that allows you to summon a copy of a minion from your hand. That's in a control Shaman shell. Very interested to see if he can make all of that come together. Immediately after, next deck up is going to be his Reno Lock deck. This looks like a pretty standard Reno Lock that you could even see on ladder right now.
Yep.
It's going to have a standard demon package with Void Callers, Mal'Ganis, Void Lords, and the Blood Reaver Gul'dan. It looks like he is not playing with N'Zoth, but he is playing with, of course, Reno Jackson, Kazakus, Bran Bronzebeard, Zolo the Gorgon, some pretty heavy-hitting stuff there. So this is a pretty long game control deck and has a lot of threats and a lot of staying power. After that, we've got what he affectionately refers to as Naga Giants here. This is the Druid deck that plays the recently nerfed Naga Sea Witch with Aviana Coon combo and a Giants package. Goal there, of course, is you play a Naga Sea Witch and you get significant discounts on all your Giants. You can flood the board. Plays a Druid Ramp package to front load that. Get the Naga Sea Witch combo online very quickly.
Cool.
All right, so I think we've got some info on Taylor's list. If I can see if I can find those real quick.
Yeah, I know they just sent something in Discord, so
Okay, let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, it minimizes.
It's not a big deal. If we could just jump in.
Oh, I see him.
Okay.
Oh, well, I don't have the list card for card. That's no big deal. We know she's lining up a Togwaggle Druid, a Reno Shutterwalk Shaman, and a Recruit Hunter deck. So we're gonna go ahead and get live whenever they're ready to queue up.
Yeah, I just told them they could get going, so we are good. Go with that.
Oh, definitely.
It'll be interesting to see what these two are bringing. Hunter is in a weird spot right now. The wild lists seem like be very similar to a lot of the standard lists that Taylor brought.
The last time I played Hunter in Wild was Spell Hunter with Barnsey Charge combo, something like what Mike Lowe was playing. I think Nate was playing something like that too last night. But the Recruit Hunter deck, I imagine, is going to be playing, probably playing the Oozling package into Katharina plus Playdeads and or Bane Deaths, Terror Scale Stalkers, ideas to cheat out big things and hit your opponent in the face with it. I like it.
Yeah, it is doing what Hunter does, right?
It's doing the Lord's work.
It is indeed. Okay. So I was dropping frames, but we're not even starting. I told them they could get going.
Preparing to battle, friend. Who are we waiting on right now?
I think we're waiting on Taylor, Dr. Evel.
Okay.
You start. I think she thought I was waiting on her, and I was not. So there we go. Okay, we are getting into game one here. So Taylor is playing her Druid against Craig's Big Druid, aka Shaman deck.
Okay, so I imagine this list is going to be pretty typical Togwaggle Druid deck. So she does not want to keep any of these cards. But as cards like Azalina, Ultimate Infestation, are cards you want to see later in the game. She wants Ramp like Wild Growth and Nourish. Now, as for Craig's hand's kind of all over the place. Didn't get much of a chance to see what he was working with. We know, like he's got a handful of Ancestor's Call, which is pretty good early. So he might be in a position where he can Ancestor's Call out Sylvanas and be able to steal all of Taylor's win conditions. If Craig can get that plan online quickly, he can disable Taylor's game plan by stealing all her combo pieces.
Yeah, and when you're going to get something that is lovingly known as Concede Shaman, you're going to have a very special game plan here. It looks like Craig have a lot of these cards that are just like, he's got no substance like early on here, and Taylor with her, we saw the Azalina, so it looks like she is playing just Togwaggle. I've never seen a Togwaggle / Malleus list in Wild, so that means it just is probably going to be just pure Togwaggle, right?
Most likely, yeah. It's a very straightforward combo at this point, and one of the strongest Druid decks that you can play on ladder right now. Has a pretty good game against almost anything.
Yeah, it's kind of lost favor to the Starliner decks because Starliner just has a win condition, and Togwaggle's win condition is making your opponent concede, which is always fun, but it is not always as reliable. The thing that kind of gives Starliner a advantage over Togwaggle is that if you survive long enough against aggro decks, you actually kill their aggro, and so it tends to be kind of a little bit more dependable, in my opinion. But with Taylor facing this Concede Shaman list, I think she'll have plenty of time to go all in, which, especially with these combo pieces already in her hand.
So I'm pretty sure that Taylor's next turn is going to be Nourish into Wild Growth, Nourish for Crystals into Wild Growth. I think that Craig does have some counterplay there. He has Ancestor's Call, which can act as a kind of a dirty rat stand-in, provide some disruption. If he can get to a point where he can um, Ancestor's Call, and then reanimate reanimate his minion. No, he doesn't even need to do that. He has Devolve now, so he can Ancestor's Call into the demon.
Oh!
Yeah, he's got it.
Oh! That is painful. He pulls the Aviana out of Taylor's deck, out of her hand, and
he's going to steal it. The Reincarnate is going to take Aviana, and at this point, Taylor's win condition is completely offline.
Yes, we are literally, 5 turns in, and Taylor cannot win anymore. And Taylor seems to know it.
It's definitely going to be a hard game for Taylor at this point. Now there are still plays. You can remove. If I were in her position here, I wouldn't just give up. You can remove Craig's board and kind of play a game of draw go until you can start to master your own threats. The trouble with that is Craig's entire list is removal. If it's not a reincarnate or an ancestral spirit, it's and not an ancestor's call. It's something that blows up the board. So even if Taylor mounts an offense, it's going to be hard to really do anything. That also, like, the only other win condition I can think of is fatigue, and given that the standard Togwaggle list plays a lot of draw cards, it's very unlikely that it's going to be well suited for a fatigue game.
Yeah, it's the whole point of Togwaggle is to build a bad deck that you're using to cycle through it, and then give your opponent your bad deck. And with this being like that, and Taylor losing her ability to swap decks with Craig, it's a nearly impossible battle. I mean, she's obviously still putting up a fight here, but it is not going to be easy for her.
Definitely not. It's an uphill battle. So Taylor right now has a fair amount of stall. Like, she can. She's opting to draw with the branching paths, which is pretty interesting. Might be, depending on the list, she might be able to Togwaggle into some shenanigans with Naturalize is also a way that she can get there. And I think that's what she's doing right now is digging in for that fatigue plan.
The problem with this version of the list in Wild compared to the standard list, the standard lists are always kind of running redundancies in their list. They're running like Fluke, but they're also running the Twig of the World Tree. They just have more options because in standard they don't have Aviana, so they have to go through a different route to make sure they get to where they need to in the long run.
That is true. I don't expect to see anything like Twig of the World Tree in this list here.
No, I don't either. I was just trying to explain why in standard it might be possible, but in Wild you kind of put all your eggs in one basket.
That's true. So right now Craig's hand is full of cards like Ancestral Spirit, Healing Rain, Hex, Lightning Storm, Devolve, just pretty much a ton of removal. He's not putting any pressure on Taylor to accelerate the game any. So right now he is pretty much sitting tight and waiting to either counter Taylor's next push or waiting to draw a minion that he can throw out there and start to apply some pressure. Everything in his deck is super huge though, so
yeah.
He's gonna have to hope that something sticks. And I see that Taylor drew the Naturalize, which is going to be a huge. That's going to be a huge part of that game plan there.
Yeah, she's going to need to Naturalize and make him mill some threats, but she keeps doing things like putting out those poison spiders and trying to fight back, and then Craig has an answer with that Primordial Drake.
Right. So I think. Like, Craig needs to be conscious about his hand size from his perspective here. Like, he is sitting with 8 cards in hand. Naturalize plus Togwaggle will swap decks. Like, I think Taylor's just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on that by the looks of things. So now, yeah, okay, so that's exactly what happened there. So Taylor did manage to steal Craig's deck, and Craig's deck is pretty much crippled at this point. Malfurion's already been played. All of the combo pieces from the Togwaggle deck are in hand, so there's really not very much left. So it's been a very interesting game because at the very start of it, we thought, okay, well, Aviana's gone. That is that's going to be lights out. But Taylor was able to find a line that gives her a win in fatigue. The trick is she has to be able to deal with this push from Craig. Craig's going to start loading the board full of multiple copies of Ragnaros. Try to close this game out.
Craig seems to say he made a mistake with that play.
So he stacked 2 Ancestral Spirits on Ragnaros.
Yes.
Which means that when Ragnaros dies, is going to make 2 copies of itself, but he doesn't have the Reincarnate to combo with it. I think he may have thought he had an additional copy of Reincarnate.
So does Taylor just go as wide as she can and just not care about the Ragnaros here? Because her killing Ragnaros is a bad idea. And maybe she hopes that she can get some kind of answer from Craig's deck.
Right. Craig's deck probably has at least 1 more copy Pex.
Yep.
And possible devolves. So she doesn't know about the 2 devolves in the Hex that are already in Craig's hand. So she may have she may decide here to Azalina into Craig's hand to see if she can find removal for the Ragnaros.
It's a really hard thought though, because she's got that Health of Zed in her hand, and that Health of Zed is like a really oh no.
Okay.
So that's why he said you could only stack 1 of those. Oh, every big priest's worst nightmare, pulling a Barnes out. Where did Barnes even come from?
The Oaken Summons.
Yeah, it's an Oaken Summons it came from.
Right.
So now, Craig, it looks like he's thinking about using one of these hexes. I'm not sure why, because he knows what kind of threats are in the rest of his list. Maybe he just wants to kill... I don't think you're not going to devolve a frog into anything besides a frog there, Craig. A frog is a 0. Is he?
Not sure what he's doing.
I don't know. It kind of seems like he's about to concede, but I'm not sure. Even with these 2 Ragnaroses on deck, Taylor has 60 health. So she'll go down to 44 health here. But that's still a large amount. And with this Ragnaros coming out...
Okay, so you charge from the top of the deck there.
Yeah.
Charge's gonna find something spicy. I think Sneeds is still left in the deck. Let's see the Primordial Drake. Okay.
Yeah, it's enough to give Taylor some kind of board presence and to fight back. So.
Okay. So let's see. Craig is working with 2 Rags and a handful of nothing.
Yeah, and now a leg shot doesn't even kill. Oh. So, let's see.
That Reincarnate might be some spicy technology. You can Kel'Thuzad, reincarnate your Charge, and have a giant board full of your Charges.
So I wonder now that we talked about it earlier. I think Craig played those 2 devolves because he was worried about the Azalina, which makes that play really smart, because he thought if I lose this game, it's going to be because of these cards in my own hand.
That's some very heads up insight, actually.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, because nothing else makes sense. And man, that is really intelligent on her Craig's part.
Both players have very imposing boards right now. So we've got Craig with 2 Ragnaroses and a couple of totems into Taylor's board of Kel'Thuzad and double Yasharj and Ysera. Neither player's, well, Craig's not going to be able to reasonably deal with this board, though. Like, the Ragnaroses are not likely to be able to finish off everything. I think he can just chip away at, I think Dr. Evil's going to chip away at Craig's position until he has nothing left.
Yeah, it's when you have minions that are going to be able to sit here and withstand rag shots, and at this point,
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, hitting that Kalthus head was not what Taylor wanted to see happen in that last round.
The Kalthazad trigger happened first, so he wouldn't have got anything back anyway. There's some play order shenanigans there.
It's really interesting because Craig did get a large amount of ammunition in his hand before it started, right? Before the swap happened.
Yeah. Alright, that charge is going upstairs. And Taylor's making some strides to close out that game. Has a Lich King on deck now, has a Nightmare added to hand.
That Nightmare is really, really gross because there's something big is likely to survive, and Craig is in a world of hurt next turn in a very, very likely position. But he does try this token summon, so he's going to give himself 6 more armor.
6 armor is not super relevant here.
It's just how long can I survive kind of thing, right?
Definitely. Maybe the Rags can get some lucky shots there.
Yeah.
Okay, that one went face. That is not lucky. Alright, that also went face.
It's lucky for Taylor, right? She's like, she'd prefer they go face at this point.
Oh, definitely. I think this might be lethal here.
So, Craig has 2 of those, so he's gonna be able to face tank one.
No,
Yeah.
it's not lethal, but it's a lot of damage.
It is a lot of damage, and it's not going to affect Taylor's board at all, really, because she's going to have, still going to have all her minions. She's not losing any minions. I'm wondering if she's debating, okay, I was wondering if she was debating on putting that Nightmare on something, but she's probably just going to save that for surprise burst damage here.
No, if the Nightmare does not accelerate your clock at all, you probably should not be playing it here. If it doesn't help you set up lethal this turn or make a difference in lethal next turn, you might as well hold it.
Yeah.
I expect to see a pass turn here. That should fetch Sneeds. Yep.
Oh.
Sneeds is a blast from the past right there. You don't see that very often anymore.
Sneeds is actually the only legendary I've ever crafted after it was put into Wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never had it, and some tavern bell popped up, and I really wanted it for it, so I crafted it.
I don't even have Sneeds yet. I think it's one of the only wild legendaries I don't currently that's relevant. I don't currently have. There are tons of bad wild legendaries.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so from Craig's position here, he drew Ultimate Infestation. Doesn't really do him any good. It's not going to remove anything from the board or deal any damage. Not even going to keep him alive. Healing Rain is just delaying the inevitable here. I think this lights out for Craig.
Yeah, Taylor made such a head-up play, burning the treasure card. I didn't even think about that. I would have probably conceded at that point, and it just shows how good of a player she is. That, I mean, it's just smart thinking. She switched up her win condition. But this is really smart by Craig. If both of these hit face, Craig wins.
Hey, no, I didn't see that. It's very, very, very unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
And it did not happen, but
Yeah.
it's possible. You can get that casino lethal.
Yeah, he gave himself a chance, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Hearthstone Esports.
Yeah.
Isn't that how the meme goes?
Esports! Okay, cool. So
That was a wet and wild game right there.
yes, that was definitely a interesting game. So we had some little issues. I fixed the hand issue during that match. It was the first time running it. Nate put some bells and whistles into our setup here, so just fixing a couple things. My mic was a little bit louder than yours at the beginning, and that's one of those issues of the fight and delay that makes it a little more interesting. But I think everything should be adjusted. If you see anything else, guys, just let me know and I will fix things. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat and comment. So we're good. I think you could tell these two they can keep playing, though. They could go into the next match. So we have Dr. Evil up 1-0 here now. So
far so good.
You guys are good.
And one thing I want to talk about here that kind of speaks to the resiliency of Togwoggle and the strength of the combo. Not only its flexibility to be able to win the game even after having a major combo piece taken out, but also like it rewards players for being inventive.
Yeah.
Being able to figure things out with figure out a way to win.
As soon as I saw Togwaggle show up, I fell in love with him. I was like, this is my favorite card ever on my podcast. I was like, I love this card. And he kind of got laughed at when he first popped out because Azalina has really enabled him to be full, like a really powerful card. But when he popped out, the only real thing you could do with him was Warrior, and you could explore and go with him. But man, it's amazing how adding one card to your arsenal can really enable a card to shine.
Definitely. All right, so jumping into this game here, we have Taylor loading up with the Recruit Hunter versus Craig with the Giants, the Giants Big Druid deck. My suspicion that that Taylor's deck revolved around Seeping Oozling turned out to be correct there. So we're going to see probably some Seeping Oozling play dead plays, and a secret package. Craig's deck, he's starting out with some Doomsayers into some ramp into Naga Giants. So we'll see how that plays out. Right now, expect a Wandering Monster from Taylor's side, or not even setting up the secret. Maybe, assuming there are Spellstones in the deck, may want to keep the secrets in order to be able to charge up the Spellstone to be able to make a push. Craig is thumbing his Doomsayer there after drawing an Ultimate Infestation. So he's looking to slow... Well, I would normally say looking to slow the game down, but there's nothing going on in the game right now. We're pretty much in a Draco state right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's just... This hand is kind of awkward for Craig, right? He's got a couple of Giants. He's got a Nourish. He's got a UI, an Ultimate Infestation. And maybe he's just trying to stop the Taylor from being able to develop at all. So
right, I expect Craig's just going to be buying time until he can ramp with Nourish and start getting set up.
And Taylor seems to be looking for a Spellstone because she could have played a Secret this turn. I mean, I wouldn't have played the Freezing Trap, obviously, but she could have played the Wandering Monster, but decided not to. And so she must be trying to get the ultimate value out of this list.
Most likely. I don't expect her to continue waiting on the Wandering Monster, though. It looks like she's going to go ahead and throw that out.
Yeah. It's interesting why she didn't drop that last turn, but it is...
I'm trying to squeeze out those hero powers, too.
Yeah.
Druid right now is a class that has so much staying power and the ability to gain armor more than any other class in the game.
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, you have to get as much damage as possible against the Druid. You have to milk every ounce of it.
Yeah,
So,
it's the thing where you start wondering when you're playing this matchup where you go, do I really want to play Rexar? Because that 2 damage... I mean, at the point they turn into Malfurion the Death Knight, though, your 2 damage a turn doesn't do much. So that is the point.
Yeah, you can't race it at that point, but at this point, I mean, you might as well get that value while you can.
Yeah.
So there's the Malfurion, by the way. Speak of the devil.
Yep.
Right, so I expect... No, go ahead.
Yep, Craig's gonna ramp up and plays Death Knight. He's going to play the 2 Poisonous Spiders, which is a play I always love. Not one that everyone does enough, but I think it's a great play. So
The spiders make a lot of sense here. There's nothing Taylor's developing that it would make sense to throw up any scarabs to block.
Yep. He wants to Taylor wants to force Craig to trade into this wolf before developing the boar anymore.
Now, if Craig attacks that spider, he's going to trigger at least the freezing trap. If he goes face, he's going to trigger the wandering monster as well. It's a little... it's not necessary to swing in with the spider. He probably recognize... He may recognize that attacking with the spider is a bad idea. Alright, so he develops a Clockwork Giant. He's going to go ahead and get that out there. Maybe going to be baiting the freezing and the wandering monster with the spider next turn. But Taylor has another Seeping Oozling and has Oozling Play Dead, so we're... I wonder if she plays any of the Silver Vanguard. Silver Vanguard would allow her to fetch another 8-drop out of the deck if she plays Lich King. We don't have the list, so we're just kind of speculating at this point.
The thing about this list that Taylor's running is it is very... You just have Silver Vanguard right there. This list is very similar to the initial, even like standard Death Rattle Hunter list. This list is... I haven't seen any... She hasn't played any wild cards in this list yet, so...
No, the awesome thing about the wild format, Rod, is every standard card is also a wild card.
Yes, I meant she's not playing any wild exclusive cards. Sorry, so I should have played.
Ooh, that's a charged Devilsaur.
Ooh,
that's going face.
I mean, there's nothing else you really want to do with it, right? You're not going to trade it into the 1/2 poisonous spider. Like,
no, definitely not.
You can't kill the Clockwork Giant.
That's a Naga Sea Witch. Okay. Naga means we're going to have a board full of giants. Craig's attacks here are going to... It's going to make a big difference how he attacks here. He's going with the spider first.
You know, I'm kind of interested, though. Like, he puts all these minions out without any secret testing whatsoever beyond the... beyond playing a minion, right? Or playing the spells. So Craig obviously wasn't worried about whatever the secrets were going to do. He's like, I don't care what your secrets are going to do. I have giant minions, and that's all that really matters.
Well, he also doesn't really have the time to secret test there. Like, if he just sits back and waits at this point, he's going to get run over. Taylor's deck does a lot of damage very quickly if he just sits there and lets it be. So he can't really afford to wait.
Yep. And the thing that Taylor's really gonna have a problem with here is removing large amounts of minions, right? Hunter's never had a good way to remove wide boards, right? So
that is correct. Mass removal is not in Hunter's wheelhouse. Most of the time, you end up needing to make trades in order to remove things or just have super big things. All right, so that Naga Sea Witch survived, and Craig's about to launch a 5-mana Ultimate Infestation. If you thought Ultimate Infestation was insane at 10 mana, just imagine it at 5.
It's way better at 5.
Lob 5 mana off of it. Ooh, that's a Coon. Coon to refresh crystals. Craig's making his fat board even fatter.
This is a thing that could be so frustrating playing as Druid. You're like, I almost have them dead. They're almost dead, and then you gain 900 armor and then play insane card like UI, and you're like, oh. You know, I actually would have preferred. I guess I know why he did it, but if he would have gone and played the whole let's give my minions attack, it would have been interesting to me.
Alright, so Craig gained some armor there, sending in the Mountain Giant first. Gonna send in the Naga Sea Witch. So Craig has a lot of stuff, but Taylor also has a lot of life. Ooh, okay. So Yeah.
That was a weird series of plays, and I don't know how Taylor comes back from this at this point. There's so much damage on the board for Craig, and Craig's also at 25 health. Like, Taylor isn't going to be able to burst him down this turn, which means it looks like Craig just won the game that last turn.
Right. If barring some kind of miracle from Wandering Monster, some kind of insane miracle that doesn't exist in the game of Hearthstone, that's not going to happen.
So that is going to even up our series 1-game-1. That deck, they were talking about it in stream last night, is something that Concerned Mom and someone else was working through, and that deck is really interesting because the Naga Sea Witch really hasn't seen much play since the nerf, if any at all, and so it's interesting to see them bring that back and use it in such a cool deck. And that card still really feels powerful at this point, but it's not broken where you're flooding the boards with Giant on turn 5. So we are going back into game 3 here.
Alright, so it looks like Craig is queuing up his Big Druid Shaman again.
Yep, he is indeed.
Alright, versus Taylor's Recruit Hunter. Alright, so I expect Taylor to probably throw back everything except the Wandering Monster. Craig's hand, you probably want to see like an Ancestor's Call. Might make sense to keep Eureka, but to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what he's going to be looking for there. Yeah. Probably like given the nature of Taylor's deck, might make sense to mulligan for Hex, mulligan for Devolve to be able to deal with the threats and mitigate the damage while getting the Eureka and Ancestor's Call engine online. And it looks like he found pretty much what I was talking about there. He has an Ancestor's Call and he has a Devolve. So Taylor's hand is very well suited for that Ancestor's Call, though. Anything, as soon as Craig plays that, he's going to have to deal with something gigantic from Taylor's side.
Unless it pulls the Seeping Oozling. That Oozling, you do not want to have that card pulled out of your hand because that card is all about the battle cry here.
Definitely.
So, I mean, if Taylor starts putting up building a board here, she looks like she can gain a little momentum, but the problem is Craig's hand, when it starts going, is going to be hard to stop, right?
They both have very similar game plans if you really stop to think about it. Like, Taylor's method of cheating them out, though, usually develops the minions onto the board as it does that. So it starts by playing some very sticky threats that are difficult to deal with, and then just continues to snowball them out of control. Whereas Craig's also in the big minion plan, but he wants to get all of his big minions out at once, and then start to capitalize on it that way. So I think Taylor's
that did not go well for Craig.
That did not go well at all. It's a good thing the Ragnaros cannot attack.
Yeah.
Probably going to expect...
I kind of like a flanking strike into one of these, totems, and then to increase the chance of his Ragnaros hitting the Primordial Drake. And
Ragnaros went face.
Yep. It is... Ragnaros knows he's a hunter deck, and he knows that face is indeed the place.
Knows where the face is. Alright, so on Craig's side, let's see, we've got a couple of copies of Volcano, some Devolve action going on there. Probably going to be throwing that Primordial Drake into that trap to test it, and may start to clear with the Volcano just to get the Ragnaros off the board.
I was gonna say, I don't know how much use that Volcano is going to be in this game. This game plan, these two, like Taylor specifically in that instance, you're gonna have these giant minions out, and I don't know how much he's gonna do for Craig.
Yeah, he's gonna want to get the Volcano while the getting's good.
Yeah, and so he does that, so he ensures that he kills Taylor's Ragnaros, which is the big threat that was looming. And
so he took care of that.
Yeah, it looks like she's gonna coin out this Oozling, which I actually like a lot because she's got 2 6-drops sitting here. and she needs to put pressure on Craig.
Yeah, Coin Oozling has a lot of flexibility with the pair of play deads there.
Yeah, Craig is going to be pulling out something big next turn himself with this Eureka in his hand. Either a Lich King or a Sneasel Shudder or this Ragnaros. So Taylor being able to fight back on this board is super important.
Yeah, Craig's pretty much skipping his turn there because of the overload from the Volcano. It's one of the big drawbacks from that card.
And that's the problem with a lot of Shaman cards in Standard right now is the lack of overload removal. Overload removal is one of those things that, like, a lot of players have started going, hey, Blizzard, the overload mechanic isn't good, so you should probably do something else. But, I mean, it's kind of one Shaman's, identities at this point.
Right.
And with 10, 12 life on board, do you think Craig is just going to go with this Volcano here?
I don't really see what else he can do.
He could
doesn't have any.
Eureka.
So what is Eureka going to do for him at this point? Random copy of a minion. It might pull Rag. The best thing it can do is pull Lich King, which can hold a board.
Yep.
Otherwise, Taylor can just go face. And Taylor right now, if Rod does not, or excuse me, if if Craig does not do anything to deal with the board, Craig is dead.
Yep.
Between the Eaglehorn Bow in hand, Hero Power, Savannah Highmane, and Stranglethorn Tiger, so he has to do something.
And it is going to lower Craig, though. Craig is only going to have 6 mana again next turn, which is going to leave him with only really the ability to play Eureka or the Farsight.
Eureka's not a bad play, though.
No.
Assuming that Taylor doesn't have a way to get back on board here, but of course, she has 7 mana, plenty to work with, and is able to use all of it with Animal Companion, Freezing Trap, Hero Power, able to push 6 damage, put him to 9, so still threatening lethal next turn.
Taylor was probably hoping for the #always Huffer, but unfortunately gets probably the worst pull of the 3 Animal Companions with Misha there. Either one other Animal Companion, I can't talk, would have gotten Taylor the ability to push more damage last turn. So the Leop would have pushed 2 more, and the Huffer would have been 4 more.
It's absolutely fair. So that Rag needs to hit a minion.
Yep.
Okay. That's still, let's see, 9 damage exactly, though.
This Katharina, if it pulls a, what do you call it?
The Charged Devil Sword?
It doesn't even matter, she has lethal with the bow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Taylor now goes up in this series 2 games to 1. Dr. Evel. So, let's see. I like that because that sometimes I think when you think of Wild, you think of decks with lots and lots and lots of only Wild cards, but often these Wild, these newer Standard cards get printed, they find their ways into these decks because they're so powerful, right? And so that deck has a lot of quote-unquote standard cards in it that Taylor's running, but it is still super powerful. So, okay, we're back into Game 4 now.
Blizzard's always pushing out new archetypes, and most of the time those archetypes are able to find a home one way or another, even if it's not including old standby cards. They can always push out something new.
Yep.
All right, so Taylor is queuing up with. This is the Shadowwalk Shaman.
Yeah, it's a shaman. I don't know what kind of shaman it is on top of that.
Hold on. Let's see. See if we can find it. Reno Shadowwalk Shaman. Yep, that is. We don't have a list, so we're gonna have to get inventive here.
Yeah.
Now Craig's deck is the Reno lock, pretty standard Reno lock. Taylor's hand, you expect probably keep. Now, keep in mind, everyone, that these are closed deck lists, and neither player knows what's going on with the other deck list. So Taylor may be inclined to keep the Maelstrom Portal or the Farsight, or maybe both.
Yeah, I would keep the Farsight if she keeps the Big Game Hunter, which makes me go. She's assuming there may be giants coming down the tailpipe.
It's possible. Big Game Hunter takes care of a lot of big threats from the Warlock side. If anything, it takes care of Mal'Ganis, which is almost universal in the Warlock class.
Yeah.
Craig kept most of his hand. Or no, he kept all of it. So he has Mistress of Mixtures. He's going to be playing the Gnome Ferradu most likely. Possibility he may hold the Gnome Ferradu with to play with the Brand Bronzebeard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he just tapped there.
So Taylor looks like she's running the list that runs. Its game plan is to gain 9 million armor. So basically it's going to be running White Eyes and Plated Beetle, and it's going to be repeatedly filling up. Every time you Shutterwalk, it's going to use N'Zoth and bring back a White Eyes and a Shutterwalk. So
that's a very that's a game that has a lot of late game or deck that has a lot of late game power. Then, and not only do you have to draw all those pieces, you have to play them in the right order to make all of that go off. So we'll see if he's able to pull all that off there. The Reno Lock. Craig's gonna need to start putting on some pressure in order to stifle that game plan, and if he doesn't, he'll give Taylor all the time in the world.
Yeah, and that is not something you want to do with Shutterwalk lists, because as soon as Shutterwalk starts going off like that, you're in trouble because.
And Craig is still tapping pretty aggressively there. He's throwing a Dark Bomb out, I think, just to he was at 9 cards in hand, so he didn't necessarily need to throw that out. Maybe just making as much use of his mana as he can there. So he's got Mistress plus Librarian into Taylor's turn 4 here. Taylor doesn't really have very much to do. Coin Wide Eyes is a thought. Sylvanas is another. Okay, just throwing the Sylvanas out there. That's very interesting because the Sylvanas doesn't really have anything to do here. It's just a big threat, and Reno Lock's very capable of dealing with that with a board state like this without losing anything.
I assume that she did that because she has the N'Zoth in hand, so she might not be worried about getting real value off of it. Also, the problem with Reno Lock when you're in this matchup, when you're playing things like Sylvanas, you're often trying to get things like Sylvanas out before they get their Kazakus out, because when you get your Kazakus out, you are getting things that could like turn your minions into sheep and stuff like that.
Definitely. All right, so Craig has Corrupting Mist, and the Sylvanas is still alive and still going to be able to push 5 damage. So might see a Zola into the Sylvanas, or might just see Wide Eyes here.
I kind of like with Taylor's current hand, waiting on that Zola and maybe pairing it with the Antique Healbot, because Taylor does not have any form of healing in her hand, and she is down to 17. She does have Arena somewhere in the deck, like you said, but until she has access to that, you want to be wary because you don't have all that much healing.
Well, that's pretty fair. It looks like she's definitely going with the Wide Eyes play and saving Zola for recurring Healbot or recurring Reno later.
Yeah. I've played this deck. I did Into the Wild one week when Craig was out with Robobson and Nate, and Robobson brought this deck, and this deck it's really hard to play, and it doesn't have a whole lot of removal for like things like aggro. So you have to play it very smart, but luckily for Taylor, Craig brought up his Reno Lock list, which is going to give her time to do what she needs to do.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Craig's taking some time to contemplate his plays here. He's got a full grip at this point, 10 cards. So we're seeing let's see, 6 mana and a bunch of stuff to do. He can play Deathlord, he can play Nympharatu, he can play half a dozen things. There are a lot of options. It looks like he's thinking about the Deathlord, though. Deathlord's interesting in this matchup because there are some minions you do not want to pull with that Deathlord, like the Emperor Thorsan that was just drawn, and there's some minions you would love to pull with that Deathlord, like Reno Jackson or Zola or Nizath.
Shutterwalk.
Shutterwalk, yeah.
Shutterwalk would ultimately win, or give Craig a very, very good chance to win this game.
Interesting that if, depending on when Taylor cracks that that Deathlord, she may be able to Zola back the Shutterwalk with that. So he needs to be able to capitalize on that Deathlord. If the Deathlord pulls the wrong thing at the wrong time, Dr. Evil will be able to capitalize, and she'll be able to get quite a bit ahead with it.
Neither one of these players brought combo decks this week, right? It seems like they both brought these very big decks that are just have
Togwaggle.
Yeah, Togwaggle is a combo. That is true.
Yeah.
I think the way it ended up being played, it really wasn't. but yeah, you're right. It is. It's interesting though because they both brought these big meaty topping decks, right? We didn't see any aggro tonight, and Craig, he spellbreakers the White Eyes, but Taylor doesn't care about that because
he needs to get faced with that Deathlord before the rope runs out, or he did not do that at all. Okay, he may have just forgotten to attack.
And I see that Taylor has put in a Blood Knight, which is a odd paladin tech, which I find very, very interesting.
So Blood Knight for those of you that play Wild, not Standard. Standard has in Standard, Giggling Inventor is one of the most popular cards and is absolutely insane. Functionally a neutral Spreading Plague.
Oh! I don't know what you drop with it though. That's like
you might just let it red. It's well, you can Zola back Thorson, Zola back White Eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna do anything with it, I think it's Zola.
Zola on the Emperor is oh, she's gonna do it on the. I prefer it on the Emperor, but
I like this though because the White Eyes she can play this turn and it protects the Emperor.
Yeah, it's very smart. It's a very good. Man, this hand is getting gross. Taylor.
She's not attack either.
Nope.
Oh man, everybody's forgetting to attack.
I'm like wondering if they're taking their time to think up these plays and then not putting damage in the opponent's face. Oh no.
That is going to be a board clearing defile right there.
Yeah, with something I think Mal'Ganis is gonna come out. No, there's a Voidlord and a Dreadlord. Yeah.
Voidlord or yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately for Craig, that is going to become a 9-mana frog here momentarily.
Alright, well, there's the Shutterwalk. It's a shame that we don't have the Zola. Now, I imagine this list probably plays Serenite Chain Gang.
Yeah, I believe that the whole combo is very similar to what it used to be in Standard, but instead of like killing them with the life triggers, yeah, you're killing them with. You're just pulling back everything. You want to play Nizath before the Shutterwalk also. We haven't seen a Grumble either. So the only thing, she needs a Grumble and a Serenite are the two that we really want. And without Craig putting any real pressure on Taylor, she's going to be able to just sit here and wait.
Craig's got a lot of interesting options here. He's got Gul'dan available next turn. He has Dirty Rat into Twisting Nether. If he recognizes that he needs to Dirty Rat to head off a Sylvanas, or not Sylvanas, Nizath, then that can be a play you would see starting next turn. But most likely, Taylor's just going to Windmill Slam the Nizath down right now.
Yep, it is. he needs to get it out. She needs to get it out. She needs to get out quickly. And man, that's a lot of really high quality minions here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3 white eyes on the board. That's so gross.
So that's Demonic Project, which make him in handy. That is the Dirty Rat that did not take a great minion. That is a crying shame for Craig.
Oh, that if I would have pulled the Shuttle Walk, man.
Yeah, game would have been a lot harder for Taylor at that point. Now it would have said game over, but you remember the last time that we said game over.
Taylor was smarter than both of us, and we thought such things.
Okay.
So just, I mean, if Taylor plays, I don't know, like if she's gonna looks like she's gonna play the Shuttle Walk.
Yep. Now, ooh, that Zola went off first. That, I mean, the shields are down because Defile and Twisting Nether are both in place. The best out that Craig has at this point is Lord Godfrey, which is not in hand, so he's going to need to tap for it. Or I would say if the Void Lord had survived, he'd be able to stall a little bit with Gul'dan, but that's not even an option at this point.
So Hellfire into.
Yeah, that's not going to do it.
And that's going to be game over. So it's like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 31, and I mean, Craig is at 15 health, so that's not going to matter.
If that Dirty Walk, or if that Dirty Rat had pulled the Shutter Walk, it'd be a completely different game.
Okay, so that is going to put us, and it's going to have Taylor winning this series.
Taylor took that one away 3-1.
So, yes. So, do you want to go put those two in a Discord call, and then we'll get everyone going? Do you have them as friends? I don't know if I do. I don't have Craig.
Give me a moment. We'll see if we can add them.
Okay, so let's go look at this. Let's look at the winners. So we have left is stars and right is. So that was a fantastic match. I mean, it was really truly entertaining. They both put on really exciting. Yes.
There were a lot of interesting plays on both sides of the table, and a lot of gigantic things that came down there. Like starting from the very first play when Craig had that Ancestors call into Aviana, we thought right then and there that the game would have been super difficult for Dr. Evil. She was able to pull that off by stealing the deck with a Togwoggle Naturalized combo, and then building her own gigantic board, playing with Craig's deck. We have continued to see that kind of action in matches with the Recruit Hunter deck, with the big Druid Shaman deck, with the Giants Druid deck, just putting a massive amount of stuff on the table.
Okay. Here, let me add him to the call here. I could do it.
Sounds good.
There's Taylor and... Okay, I need to add Craig. Craig, you need to... Here, why is it not letting me add him? Okay, oh, he's right there. Okay, cool. And here, actually here, I just did this thing where I need to add you too. So just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna hang up on you here, and we're gonna change this to a call. So
okay,
I will talk to you 1 second here, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
You guys there?
Hi.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Rod.
Taylor, you there? I added her. She's not in yet. Craig, I have to tell...
Sorry.
You brought lots of fun decks. You both brought lots of fun decks tonight. It was really exciting having you do that. And I was impressed with you bringing in the Giants Druid deck, which I know Concerned Mom has been playing a lot on ladder.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot of Dirty Rat.
Yep.
named Death Lord, so I was hoping that it would. It ended up working out, but not because of Dirty Rat.
Dude, we just assumed you had won that first game, and then Taylor pulled off that togwaggle where she burned it for you, and it was like, it was the same as if it had never happened. I mean, like if you had never burned it, and man, I wanted to just tell Taylor how impressed I was with that play because we both assumed she had just lost. So,
We couldn't count Taylor out for the entire rest of the set, no matter what was going on that board.
Oh, same here. I completely forgot that was an out. I should have dumped my hand, and I didn't. Nate's probably shaking his head at me. I tried to come back where I could after that, but it was pretty much over. I'm not sure if it was right to dump the hex and the devolves.
No.
Maybe I should dump them, but I didn't,
That was really heads up, dude, because we were like questioning it, and then later on I was like, no, he knows. Okay, Taylor's saying the mic's not picking up. She had the Aslana in hand, so when you did that, it was a really smart play actually, because we both were like, why did you do that? And I'm like, I thought about it for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, he wanted to make sure that she couldn't steal the devolves because those rags were your win condition at that point.
Yeah, I figured they were my only chance, so I tried. I'm like, maybe she won't draw any of the big guys. Well, that's optimistic.
It was a really, really good game plan because that was such a, you were like, oh, crap at that point because that, you know what Togwaggle is. The Togwaggle deck sucks outside of those couple of cards, And, okay, what? Oh, I think you said backwards. Here, just a second. Let me hear. We're trying to fix this, and okay. We're adding Appa, but it's not really adding Appa. She's going to be on. Okay, Taylor, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry, my mic wasn't working for some reason.
That's okay. Did I lose Craig? Craig, you still here? Craig? I think we lost Craig. We were just saying.
There he is.
Taylor, we wanted to say congratulations, great series, and you impressed the living shit out of us with that.
I impressed myself,
that
dude.
first game?
Yeah, I was like, shit. I was like, I should just concede. But I was like, wait, no. I was like, if he keeps his hand full, there's a possibility that I can togwaggle naturalize and still do the combo. So that's what I was like banking on, and I was able to pull it off. So I was like, heck yeah.
Dude, that was... We both said, we were both like, oh, Taylor's lost.
I know. I was like, I bet the stream's probably like, oh my god, why doesn't this woman like concede? Like, she can't win. Her Aslana, her Aviana got pulled. But I was like, no, wait, y'all just wait and see. I can do this.
It's important. It's important to always keep stock of your win condition, how you can possibly win a game, and you certainly played your outs there. For anyone sitting there listening at home right now. If you think that your deck is only has one way to win, you should always reevaluate how you can take away a game. Whether it's like a control deck managing to somehow get ahead on board and beating the opponent down, or like think to Exodia Mage against Pirate Warrior, playing out the Sorcerer's Apprentices and Frostbolts and just beating them down that way. There are always other ways to win, and you did an excellent job of identifying your outs there.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Craig, you had some bad luck that series. I have the stream on right now, and it was when you dirty ratted in before the twisting nether. Taylor had a Shutterwalk in her hand, which would have won you the game if you would have hit that Shutterwalk, because that was her win condition at that point. And
wow, you did have a bunch of 10-10s in the deck too, so I don't know for sure, but it was close.
It would have easy. You would have been hit for the 30 in the face the next turn at that point. Then.
Yeah, I could have played Reno, but that was I loved that. That was a fun match. I really think that I got unlucky when the two Ragnarok shots didn't hit their like 1 in 14.
Yeah. That's why I said I was like, I think I was impressed with that too, Craig. I was like, Craig can't win this match unless he does what he just did, and the likelihood of it happening was so low, but you saw you out and you went to it, man, and I was impressed, so.
Oh, we would have made it onto Trollden.
Yep. Okay.
I can't hear Taylor, but Taylor, great games. Wow, that was amazing. I loved
Thank
it. My
you.
nerves
I
are
was like-
crazy, but now I'm just happy it's over with.
Yeah, I was really nervous going in with my shaman deck because it's like a ridiculous deck. Like I really did not expect to win that game. It's a Reno Inzoth Shutterwalk shaman.
Did you have the plated beetles and the grumble?
No, I don't have.
Okay.
No, I took Grumble out, and I don't play with plated beetles.
There had been a list that I was saying during your match. There was a list I played where Bobson brought on when I was on Into the Wild with him and Nate, and it was basically you would build up like hundreds of armor because you would just keep playing plated beetles every time you shuttle walked. So I thought that it worked really well for you because you waited for him to play that Twisting Nether and then you did that. So
Yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
you guys both played super awesome tonight. The series was super fun. So do you guys want to Taylor? You want to tell everyone? Is there anything else anyone wants to say? Or we can get going.
Tell us how we can follow your Hearthstone exploits. If you have a Twitter, Twitch, a YouTube, Discord, any of that.
Yeah,
Sure that the crowds at home would love to be able to follow the exploits of Craig of Canada and Dr. Evil moving forward.
Yeah, the only thing I use really is just Twitter. I don't have a YouTube or anything, but my Twitter is twitter.com/Dr. Evil, spelled EVEL_HS.
Cool.
And yeah.
Craig?
I know Craig's got a presence of his own there.
Yeah, you can follow me at Craig of Canada. That's CRAIG of Canada. If you can't spell Canada, don't follow me. And and check me out on Into the Wild, a Hearthstone podcast. The first Wild Hearthstone podcast on the information superhighway, guys. It's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Craig. And this is a lovely.
Hold on.
This whole tournament is a lovely work. So.
And thank you all
Have a
for
great night, guys, and
casting.
Great game, Taylor.
Craig, how do you spell Canada?
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, guys.
He just left.
He just dropped the call immediately.
Here you guys.
Okay, guys. Well, then
Right.
that's gonna wrap it up for us. And again, congratulations, Dr. Evil, Miss Taylor. It was a blast to watch. Keith, it was a blast to cast with you, sir. And we have another match. You were casting it at what time is it?
Oh yeah. So the second part of our double header here is going to be Get Meowth versus Chai at 8:30, so 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. So that's going to be happening next 15
Soon,
minutes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay, well then we're gonna wrap up and sign off. Again, congratulations, Taylor. It was a great match, and we will see you guys later.
All right. Later.
Thank you, everyone in the audience, for tuning into the Wild. We'll see you in 15 minutes. If not, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.